we have a large free sphere of water about the size of my head, 130 millimeters in diameter. We put a puff of air, 10 cc's in 100 milliseconds, radially directed in from the side, and look at the resulting waves. And there's a combination of surface waves and body waves that go through this sphere. We saw that in real time. Now we see it in slow motion. Starts off with a crater sending a droplet off, and then a series of surface waves which come together at the antipoidal or 180-degree point from the impact. And these waves collapse back down and go across the other side towards the impact point, and they continue until viscous forces dampen things down. A delightful interplay of both surface and body waves here. Water droplets in a bubble in a sphere. Here we have a sphere of water, 75 millimeters in diameter, with an air bubble inside, about 35 millimeters in diameter, and we inject water droplets anywhere from 1 to 8 millimeters in diameter into the bubble, and look at the resulting collision dynamics where they collide with each other and the walls. Most of the collisions result in an elastic collision, but every once in a while a collision will result in a mass transfer across the interface, and this mass transfer has a momentum exchange associated with it, which will propel the droplets. Here a droplet is going in circular motion on the inside of the sphere until a mass transfer occurs and propels it off the surface. Effervescent antacid tablet in a water sphere. Here's a sphere of water, 50 millimeters in diameter, with an effervescent antacid tablet. Bubbles form rapidly from chemical reaction. This is an example of heterogeneous nucleation, or bubbles form on a solid surface and can get a momentum exchange and travel out into the fluid. The bubbles rapidly coalesce. Once they reach a certain size, they seem to eat other bubbles at a faster rate, thus growing larger. And in this form of a bubble war, you end up with a bipolar situation with two large bubbles that rapidly eat all the other bubbles. And eventually you get a situation where one bubble dominates and all the other bubbles are pressed into an annular space. Make one big bubble if we can. Okay, so that's like a thick spherical shell of water. Wow. Now let me show you something wild. Oh, look at that, a droplet with bubbles inside of a bubble in a water. Oh, wow, and look how that's rotating, and the little bubbles in the droplet are going to the center. That's where I would go if I was a bubble. Wow. Oh, wow, look at that. The first transfer through the interface excluded all the bubbles from the droplet. Oh. It's better to get it rotating by injecting a little bit of water tangentially. Look at that. And now I can try to inject a bubble in the middle.
Now the rhetorical question comes about how can you remove all these bubbles and get back to a sphere of liquid again? And so here we're sticking in a syringe and sucking out the air. And as this happens, the whole system shrinks in volume. And you keep withdrawing the air until you can see that liquid starting to be withdrawn from the syringe, and then you've gotten the big air pocket. And now left with a sphere filled with all these little tiny bubbles. And what you can do now is you can start to stir it here with this Teflon cannula, and you can get the rotation motion started. And as we've seen in previous Saturday morning science demonstrations, a rotating motion causes the bubbles to go to the center in this tornado-looking core. And then you can stick in another cannula, and you can remove the bubble core. I'm hoping the boat that we worked with in the TCS system with the new water pump cooling loop and the air bubble that's in there, I hope they're watching this, because we might be able to get some ideas for getting that bubble out. And here, the last little collection of fine bubbles in the core are being removed. And here's a demonstration of what happens of wicking action with a towel. This is one of our standard towels that we use on station, and you can see how once it touches the sphere of water, the capillary wetting withdraws the water into the towel in this rather thick film. And we're right back to where we started now with just a thin film on a wire loop.